Well, hello, folks, and welcome to the Melhorn Fishing Podcast. I hope you're having a good day, whatever day it is that you happen to be listening to the show. Today, we're going to talk about sonar units. I get so many questions about sonar. What sonar should I buy? Which unit's best? All those kind of things. And when I get 2 or 3 of these messages in a row, I decided to do a podcast on it because somebody wants to know about it. So that's what we're going to do. Quick shout out to one of our channel sponsors, Catfish Pro. They're sponsoring this video, so I appreciate them stepping up to make all this happen. As y'all know, we're running Catfish Pro gear on the boat. Rods, reels, pliers, fish grippers, scales, all kinds of stuff. So good stuff. Enjoy working with them. They're great partners to have, and they're gonna have some new stuff coming out next year. Can't tell you about that right now, but we'll get back to that later in the next year and let you know what's going on. So check them out. Obviously, go to catfishpro.com or go to my website, melhornfishing.com, and there's links to their stuff there, along with the promo code Catfish that you can use to save some money. So thanks again to Catfish Pro. Hey, listen, the sonar question always comes up, and it's always, what should I get? What should I use? Which brand's best? What do you think about this one? So let me start off just for clarity and just address a couple of things right off the bat. One, I am not sponsored by any sonar company. Fishfinder is another thing. I call them sonar units, fishfinder, boat electronics, whatever you want to call them. I'm not sponsored by any of them. I have no connection. I've never been given anything by any company. So we'll get that straight, cleared up right away. I run and always have run Lowrance products on my boat. I have had now 4 different units on the boats that I have had, and that has been the units that I have run all the time. Why have I run Lowrance? Well, I don't remember why I started with them originally. It was probably a price/feature component. It may have been that one of my old mentors, Roger Taylor, is a charter captain here with Catfish on Guide Service. He had Lowrance. I was familiar with the palette on it, which we'll talk about some of that in a minute. So I went with that and just kind of progressed. I never really had an issue with them. I never really said, oh, I got to have this or I need this to catch more fish. So that was kind of the reason I have stayed with them this whole time. So as I got more and more into them, yes, things evolve, things upgrade. We're going to talk about some of that stuff happening. But that is the one that I've always used. So everything I will say will just keep that in mind. There's the only bias I have here is that's the one I've used. And but if you have reached out to me asking about which one to go with, rarely do you hear me say you need to get a Lowrance unit, because there's a lot of people that that have a bias to whatever they own. Part of it is, 1, maybe they really like it. 2, maybe they're trying to justify what they got by really praising it. So, my take has always been this. My answer has always been, figure out how much money you have to spend. If you have $500 or you have $3,000, figure out how much money you have to spend first. Get a real budget, a true budget. This is how much I have to spend. And I've told people from there, make sure you have one that has sonar, traditional sonar, and mapping. Okay, two things. I think mapping you need to have on every unit. Most of them have them nowadays, but there's a lot of lower end ones that don't. Get one with mapping. And then from there, pick out a color you like. Pick out a color palette you like. And what I mean by that is, so many of these units do basically the same thing. There are some variations in the color palette. My mapping now on my Lowrance unit, I can shade it so that deeper parts of the water are one color and the shallower parts are another color, and it gives this color gradation to stuff, which I think is convenient to look at. Does it make a difference in catching fish? No, not really, but it looks good. It looks pretty. The units will have these color palettes for especially the structure and side scan, to where you can change that color. It may be a bluish, a brownish, a yellowish, a reddish, and a lot of that is personal preference on what your eye and what you are comfortable with and what you like. It's really that simple. You can adjust the contrast and all these things, but again, it's a lot of, I don't know that any of them read anything that much better. I don't think any of them pick out a fish that much better. You're gonna have your apologists that will argue that, but again, spend as much money as you can spend and get something that you like. Some considerations are the availability of the product, where you can actually look at it. If you have a Bass Pro Shop, a Cabela's, maybe an Academy Sports that has a lot of these on display where you can go look at them, that's a plus. That helps to see some side-by-side comparison and see, there's some little nuanced things maybe in how the navigation is on it that may or may not work. I will say this, switching from one to another, you will kind of learn a different language. It's almost like going from a PC to a Macintosh computer, or Final Cut Pro to some other editing software, or going from maybe a Ford to a Chevy or a Mercedes, in the way the stuff works and some of the navigation and the menu on the screen there. Stuff will be a little bit different, but they all basically are going to give you the same stuff. They're all really, really good. All you have to do is look at the bass fishing world to realize that there's guys running all different kinds. They're running Garmin, they're running Lowrance, they're running Humminbird. They're all catching fish. If there was one that was that much different, everybody would be using it. Garmin got a lot of traction with the forward-facing sonar live scope, and that became kind of the one that was like, oh, you got to get that. Now everybody has some form of forward-facing sonar that all basically work very similarly. So, there's questions now. I will say this, and I don't know the answer to this because I've only dealt with Lowrance, and Lowrance products have been pretty solid. Is what happens when there's a warranty issue, a warranty problem, and I can't really speak to that. I don't know how Humminbird, Garmin, or Lowrance, for that matter, really support products. I know this: when mine have broken, they have been so old that they were probably 4 generations back or 3 generations back. I run my stuff until it breaks is what ends up happening. Something will go wrong with it, board wise, something like that. And quite honestly, at that point, folks, you're better off getting rid of it, because it's the cost to repair it, even if they do, is probably going to be close to the price of a new unit. So now as far as price goes, it's all over the place. Do some shopping. There's some good deals out there. My most recent Lowrance that I was probably, at that time, it was a generation old, which helps with getting a better deal. Usually, if you buy the latest, greatest, you're not going to get too many deals on it. People, they're in demand. They're going to sell them for pretty much close to what the MSRP is on them. You get something a generation old, sometimes you can still find new stuff that's 2 generations old. You can get some deals on those, because a lot of times those things are sitting on the shelf somewhere, and they're trying to get rid of them. The cool thing about this stuff is, remember, a couple of years ago, that was the latest and greatest thing. And a lot of times the differences in this stuff is not that much. Listen, if you go from a unit that didn't have forward-facing sonar to one that does, yeah, that's a big jump. But if you got one that's already got forward-facing sonar and they come out with something a little different with a little faster processor, it's not that much of a game changer. So, electronics, I've always said, has been the one space in fishing to where you can have a true game-changing piece of technology. Whether it be structure scan, side scan, when that came out a while back, even before that, when mapping came out, when you were able to fold up and put away that paper map that we all had for years and actually look at an electronic map, that was game-changing. Now it's standard. Then came the structure scan, side scan. That was game-changing. Now forward-facing sonar, that's probably the biggest talk and biggest thing that has hit fishing, and I'm going to say my lifetime. It has changed fishing that much. So electronics have always been the thing that changed stuff, but to that point, your one you're getting a deal on right now was game changing 3 years ago. So I'm just saying, you get a lot of bang for your buck with getting something a little bit older. But the bottom line is, again, figure out a budget, figure out how much you got to spend. Make sure you got mapping. Make sure you got traditional sonar. Get a big a screen as you can afford to buy. There's advantages to having a big screen, especially when you're putting up multiple pictures on one screen. Now, if money's no object, you're not watching my video trying to figure this out. You'll just buy 2 of them and have one screen for mapping, one screen for your sonar. But if you're trying to be economical, go as big as you can. I think I'm running a 12-inch screen on mine, which is big, but I also put up 4 images. I have mapping, I have traditional sonar, side scan, and structure scan. And side scan and the structure scan sonar. So it gives me a lot of information that clears up. Most of it's kind of the same stuff on the sonar part, but it kind of clears up some stuff on brush and that kind of thing. So that's my advice. Spend as much as you can spend, and don't feel like, honestly, with just traditional sonar and mapping, you can do a lot. You can catch a lot of fish, and all the other stuff is kind of bonus round stuff. If you're looking and asking questions about it, you're probably at a good entry level to where that right there is all you need. Get on down the road, get into it, and you've been into it a few years, you'll start to have things that you need, you want, that will help you be better. And then, again, ratchet that budget up. Find one within that range. It's one I did with this newest Lowrance that I got. I figured out how much I wanted to spend. Talked to a couple people. One of them is a guy who installs sonar units on boats, does all the different brands, and he said the same thing. He confirmed what I said. He said, go with something 1 generation old and you'll be good to go. You love it, and that's what's working for me. So I think you'll be happy with any of them. Garmin, Humminbird, they all have their little things that are cool to them, and it may be cool to you. And if it is, then go with that one. So that's my advice on it. No real super preference. There is no right or wrong in this. It's kind of like catching fish. There is no right or wrong rig. There are little things that are better with each of them that you may or may not like. And it's like with catfish rods, I tell people, figure out how much you want to spend, figure out a budget, pick a color you like, and go buy that rod, because there's a lot of good stuff out there, and it will all work. It will all catch fish, and keep it within your budget. The main thing is have enough money left to be able to afford to put gas in the truck and a sandwich in the boat so you can go fishing. So hope that helps you out. Catch you guys out on the water.